Welcome back. Now, according to the World Economic Forum, over the next few years, around $80 trillion of wealth will shift into new hands. This phenomenon, known as the Great Wealth Transfer, is concentrated in the US, UK and Europe and Japan and will affect capital costs and economic growth. Well, Stefan Pacher, Director of Government Advisory Practice at British investment migration consultancy firm Henley Partners, joins us now with greater perspective on wealth migration trends in the contemporary world, where the super rich are actually asking to be taxed more. Stefan, hi, good to chat to you. You're at the WEF and you're a very busy man at the moment. My first question is, why do the rich want to be taxed more? Explain.
Well, first of all, good afternoon and many thanks for having me. It's always very exciting to be in Davos and get the vibes and the very, fast-paced community directly at hand. Maybe not the tax questions are the most important things. It's more about migration, and then I would say it comes along with taxes down the road, but it's really just having a second plan. And I think currently we are not talking about, I think when it comes to wealth accumulation at the national level, about just raising funds from citizenship and residence anymore. It's about the idea of having sovereign equity. So to be independent of institutions and basically having the chance to have prioritize national projects which are actually in the interest of the respective country and not in the interest of any, I would say, foreign institution. So that's always to keep in mind when it comes to these questions.
It's interesting you say that, because you get the UK, you get the US, you get Japan, like I said in the intro, all these traditional countries where the wealth is amassed, but you seeing something else. In fact, I was looking at one of your videos with your passport index and the money's flowing out, it's going to other countries. What are you seeing?
So obviously you have to think from a, I would say, individual level. And what is happening? I mean, obviously we've seen, or since COVID at the latest, that there are geopolitically, I would say, developments all over the world, always now happening more and more, and it's getting more volatile for private individuals and also for governments, obviously. And you can pretty much compare it with a standard investor. I mean, an investor is hardly setting all his funds on one horse, and they diversify. And we see the same here. So we see that individuals are seeking to diversify their, I would say, mobility portfolio, which makes sense at the end of the day. Because what I heard at Davos quite some time is that radically is the new normal, unfortunately, and that everybody needs to deal with that. And obviously, mobility is one of the key tools to counterfight this volatility.
That's so interesting. So what do you do? I mean, obviously this volatility, you're in Davos, you saw what the US president had to say yesterday. Are people going off to a little quiet island in the Seychelles somewhere? What are they doing? Because maybe they want to get out of the way of the storm.
So maybe to give a bit of an overview of what Henley Partners does. So we are the world leading firm when it comes to wealth migration. So we deal with governments on the one hand side and get first-hand and exclusive, I would say, insights on what they're looking for on implementing such, I would say, mobility frameworks and improving and optimizing them, and also on the individuals, what are they looking for, and basically how we can best facilitate them. And what we've seen, and obviously with the EU, it's very attractive to come there, because I mean, obviously with 27 member states, that's something which hardly any region can offer. And we see a high demand, and maybe that's the most, I would say, relevant trend you see. Back in 2018, I would say our industry was more seen as a luxury product, and it's nice to have, and it's not really necessary because you could travel all the way. But nowadays, especially after COVID, we see ourselves more as like an personal insurance. Because what happens is that you cannot rely on anything nowadays. And if you diversify your mobility portfolio, you can somehow manage that you will not be affected at all if something happens. And we're not talking about, I would say, people leaving and abandoning their home countries. That's not the case. They just want to have a safe haven if something happens. And now coming back to the question, and now it's a bit of a long explanation, but in 2018, only 5% of our clients were US. And now in 2025, it's 40%.
Wow.
So we see that there is a quite significant shift in demand. And if you see it over the years, it's an increase of 2,400%.
Wow.
It's hard to explain and hard to believe for us even. And we are happy that we are trusted with so many US clients, and they are obviously looking mainly for European, would say, residents or citizenship ideally, or maybe New Zealand and other, I would say, not so affected geopolitically regions nowadays.
Yeah, but Stefan, you're also giving advice on governance, like you said, that's the individual side. What sort of advice have you been giving out? Because you're in Davos, you're at the center of everything.
So, I mean, for us, the wealth accumulation by governments, we're not talking about, and the discussion is far beyond just selling residence and citizenships. It's really about, okay, how can you manage as a government to make the most out of it in a sense that is very sustainable? So we always recommend that you raise sovereign capital, but also keep an eye on the applicant, because at the end of the day, the applicants and our clients are extraordinary in a certain way. So they are entrepreneurs, philanthropists, maybe athletes or artists. And they obviously have something else to contribute, not just financial means. I mean, obviously that's important for a country as well to raise foreign direct investments. But I think there's a shift from a pure transactional matter to a merit-based one, meaning that you also make use of the global talent, that you have him set up a branch in the host country or in the source state.
Yeah, you want him to stay there. You want that money to stay in your state. And I think, are governments taking that seriously?
Yes, they are, because what is also in there for them, it's a tangible benefit for the citizens. Because what will happen is that if you do it the right way, obviously, you create a framework which actually leads to, I would say, better public services, greater economic resilience, sustainable growth. You create jobs. So everybody will be affected. It's basically a win-win situation, but only if it's done the right way, with a lot of transparency, a lot of trust, and a lot of experience. And that's why we come in this game.
Exactly. Do they take your advice?
Yes, we are mandated by several governments. Obviously, I cannot disclose that, but we are in touch with several governments.
Oh, an interesting discussion. Stefan, thank you. It's been very, very interesting. Stefan, all the way from Davos. That was Stefan Pacher, Director of Government Advisory Practice at Henley Partners.